Raad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Rod Gantos on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Raad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Rad Gantos.
Hello everybody, it's another Wednesday, it's 12 o'clock, you know what it is, it's the time for the Raad Life. And if you joined us last week, we had Mr. Eric Morley on from Blue Sea Advertising, and we were starting this new series called COVID Chronicles. And now that we are officially almost a year into COVID, I think we can officially have things like chronicles and documentaries and things like that, start talking about things in the past tense, hopefully soon in the past tense. But be that as it may, there's a lot of lessons that we wanted to cover. And last year was we were all in shell shock. We're all sort of deers in the headlights, reacting to things as they came our way. And we didn't want to miss out on these lessons. And especially now, as in some cases, I admittedly myself, the level of frustration this year I find to be a lot more than last year, maybe because we've been at it for so long. I feel empowered and kind of chomping at the bit to want to do something, but then what is it that we do? What have we learned that works? What doesn't work? And those are the things that we wanted to talk about. So today, in keeping with that premise of the COVID Chronicles, and by the way, I want to give a shout out to Paul Roberts and OC Talk Radio, which always makes these things possible. Because, without them, I keep expecting him to actually send me some sort of cease and desist after 6 years, but so far he's been okay.
I'm on today to keep you on point.
And my diatribes and shenanigans.
I only have one question to ask before you bring in your guest, and that's how you've gotten through your COVID Chronicle, and most importantly, how's your dad, your 80-some-year-old dad, doing? Because
Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. And for all those out there that have reached out actually and asked, as you know, Paul, we talked about doing this COVID Chronicles earlier on in the year, but then my father was going through a case of COVID, and I'll spare the details, but it was very unusual because he's been at home all year.
Well, and he's older, and he has Parkinson's and some other things.
He's got Parkinson's, he's got dementia,
and it was touch and go there for a while.
Vulnerable population under normal circumstances, and this thing has not helped at all.
No.
And then it's just been, partly dealing with an aging parent, but also this COVID has added a layer of complexity. So,
and then you had COVID.
I'm thankful that he is doing well as can be expected. Again, thanks for everybody. It was such an outpouring of concern and well wishes, and I really appreciate everybody's reaching out to me. He is doing better. We are hoping to keep him that way. We're doing everything we can. So, with that being said, during last year, there was a lady that is, in my mind, one of the real go-getter leaders out there in Orange County, and everything she touches, pretty much, the impact of her being involved is very clear for anybody who's looking at. And with that, I want to introduce my guest today, my friend, Katrina Foley, who is the returning mayor to Costa Mesa, and actually, as if she doesn't have enough on her plate already to do, is now running for supervisor is it District 2, Katrina?
That's right, District 2 in Orange County.
Orange County Board of Supervisors. And so thank you for joining me. I know you're super busy, especially with the special elections coming up 3 weeks from now. I can't believe it's 3 weeks from now. But would you take a minute for those who don't know you and just give a little background? And I really want to just then dive into what it's been like for you, because you've been in that front row of dealing with this in Costa Mesa, and unlike some cities that may not have a huge economic, retail, and commercial base that also to be considered, a diverse population, you to some may have done some things that are considered controversial, although I think they were very much needed. So let's talk about some of those experiences, but please give people some background about you.
Yeah, so thank you, Rad, for having me on the show. I really enjoyed visiting with you about, what has it been, about 6 months now?
Yeah, we did it 6 months ago.
In COVID life, 6 months seems like 10 years. And so, I've been on our city council here in Costa Mesa for 12 years. That was my third term as mayor. twice directly elected, and so this is my last hurrah in Costa Mesa. I was 4 years on our Newport Mesa school board, so I've been through a lot, and I've never been through anything like this year in COVID. We have had a year like no other, and I think we've managed it pretty well under the circumstances. And I'll say this, it's been exactly 1 year that Costa Mesa got involved, because you might remember that we had to sue both Trump and Newsom about a year ago because they were wanting to move 70 patients who were COVID positive onto Fairview Development Center into the building there, and they had no plan. Federal administration had no plan. They didn't have any answers to any of our really legitimate questions about what happens if someone who is treating them gets sick. Where are they staying? Where are they going to the hospital? How are they getting transported? Is it airborne? And I will never forget this. Is it airborne? We asked this question in 5 different ways, and they told us, no. Well, we all know that's not true. And so now, in retrospect, it's fortunate, I think, that we did prevail in that matter. At least it bought us some time for our county to get prepared. And it really highlighted all the different issues that were coming. And we were, I think, better able in Costa Mesa, at least, to get prepared.
Well, Katrina
did all kinds of help for our small businesses. We taught them how to socially distance, and we helped to support them.
Well, I mean, part of this is it's a very unusual circumstance, right? I mean, like, you could say that the closest we've ever gotten to something like this was 1918, maybe, or something of that nature, right? Even 9/11, I think, doesn't even cover it, because it wasn't such a universally applicable global phenomenon. It was somewhat localized. The thing that I find fascinating about that recall is, yes, that we were kind of learning as we go along, and everybody was doing that. And I think, when you're desperate and you're looking for guidance, you forget that leadership sometimes is equally in the dark as you are in a circumstance like this, right? So I think, we need to give a little bit of latitude for some of our leaders when they're put in the situation. But at some point, we expect efficiency and results and getting up to speed. The other thing I find very interesting.
I'm not giving attitude on that one, because now 8 months later, it was revealed that they did know that it was airborne.
Right. Well, and remember the whole thing about, I don't know if I want to tell them because they'll panic and all this stuff. So it starts falling into, like, just tell me the real thing and let me deal with it.
That's what people want. People want the facts so that they can make decisions about their lives. No matter
even if you can't do anything about it, tell me what it is, and then I'm a little bit more forgiving of the fact that you are trying to figure it out. The other thing I find very interesting, Katrina, is that you mentioned Fairview. Like, just imagine if that property actually wasn't there. Like, we don't even have a staging, emergency staging situation that would handle a situation like this. So, and I know about Fairview because of my involvement with Project Independence. Like, we have people in those housing that's nearby. So what did you think? After going through that, did you make a list of priorities of the things that you needed to address and what was more pertinent to do?
Yeah, we got really educated through that process. I mean, our lawyers and our team, we were doing all kinds of research. And so what we decided immediately was that we needed to declare an emergency for 2 reasons. One, we could open up our emergency operations center and be getting all the information coming from Cal OES, which is the Office of Emergency Services for California. Mm-hmm. And then 2, we would then be eligible at that moment in time to be able to get reimbursement from FEMA for any COVID-related expense. So by doing that, that helped us for what was to come, which was major budget impacts, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then we also put together a list of things. Masks. At the time when we were saying everyone needs to wear a mask, it was kind of not known. It was a little uncertain. I myself was debating with our city manager and some of our team, are you sure that these mask things work? And then, of course, the science came out, and it's definitely, wear your mask. I wear my mask all the time. I'm always wearing a mask. I have many, many varieties of masks. I even have one from you. So yes, wear double masks, they're saying. Mm-hmm. So we did that. We encouraged our businesses, I formed an economic recovery team where we had all the hospitality, restaurants, personal care services, and the commercial office, gyms, and the like, all coming together every week on a call to try to figure out, how do we help you during this time? What do we need to change in our zoning code? How can we get you outside quickly without a lot of bureaucracy and any permits fees, right? So we did that really quickly. We got everybody outside that could. And then we've just been trying to support the businesses as best we can. We created an incentive program. We'll give you a grant up to $10,000 per business. And we've given out more than $4 million worth of these grants so that you will be able to, follow the health orders. And that's pretty much our only condition.
Well, and you guys are a high visibility city. Like, you have sort of iconic properties. You've got South Coast Plaza, you've got some, a whole range of different scaled businesses. So you're doing everything from a single proprietor, mom and pop, brick and mortar, to, multi-chain restaurant, well-funded. Did you find that the process that you put in place from an equity perspective actually addressed a lot of people, or did you find that, what did you do to do that? Because I've seen some cases where that has not been, the rollout has not been, or the assistant has not been well done.
Well,
and that caused,
So one of the things as far as equity goes, when we're talking about business, is different than equity when we're talking about residential. So as it relates to businesses, we hand delivered notices to all of the businesses, like on 17th Street, 19th Street, a lot of mom and pop businesses there, some Spanish language. We hand delivered notices. We also created a special website. It's called the Costa Mesa Collective. It's Costa Mesa BAC. And there, where people could pour onto the website all their local business information, specials that they might be having, delivery options due to COVID. And then as it related to like our larger business establishments, they have different needs. So South Coast Plaza, as an example, I actually, in a day, I got a call from the plaza. They said, we want you to come down there and look at this idea we have to create a space for our luxury brands to move into the parking lot and the parking garage. And I thought, well, that seems crazy. And so I went down, I said, let's get the city manager and our fire marshal and our building planner to come with me. Let's keep it efficient, right? So we all went down, we looked at their plans, we got it approved within 48 hours, unheard of. We cut all red tape, and then the council had a meeting on Tuesday, ratified the decision. And so that's the kind of supports that we were providing, getting restaurants outside quickly, not making it a lot of red tape, and helping them, because everything was evolving so quickly. It was changing as to what could be open, what couldn't be open. And we just want to provide whatever supports we could. And thank God we did that with South Coast Plaza, because our budget, we ended our fiscal year 2019-2020 above the line, not below the line. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a big get last year. Yeah. And I just want for those who have not maybe seen it, I believe it's still up actually, right, Katrina? I think that's still up in the parking structure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because they've had with the alternation between closure and whatever, it's been there for them to use. For those who have not seen it, and if you happen to be in the area, you owe it to yourself to go see what innovation can look like out of necessity, especially if you're in the space where I am kind of, or you're touching on like branding, marketing, brand identity, not diluting your brand. Here's a major player that is a huge economic engine in the community that basically pushed into adversity, came up with a solution that not only was innovative and actually, hey, a new attraction for me to go see, but also did not dilute their brand. In fact, if anything, when I walked through there, I said, well, why don't we have these private shopping pods to begin with? Like, the reason I'm bringing that up is because out of that adversity of that, a lot of businesses, if they have been so mindset wise set, is that they looked at things and said, okay, I can either have a bunker mentality or a growth mindset. And if I do a growth mindset, then what can I do, whether it is to enhance my existing operations or add another layers of services that I now master while I'm going through this adversity that later on can still be around.
That's right.
And so I look at you guys and I see a lot of examples over the last year under your leadership where that, and everything is done in a team. It's not one person, right?
Yeah.
But where that rowing in the same direction seemed to be a little bit more evident in Costa Mesa.
Yeah, well, as far as the team goes, that is so true, because our team, it wasn't just our city management team or our city council team. It was also our team of local businesses with ideas. On our roundtable discussions every week at the, in the heart of the COVID crisis, we learned a lot from our local businesses about things that maybe they were already issues before COVID, but it was an opportunity to fix those issues now because of COVID, because we're making changes anyway. And so we learned a lot from them every week, and we tried to pivot. And the most important, I think, skill that I've learned over this last year is to be able to pivot, adapt, and be flexible, because you never know what's going to come tomorrow. And so you have to be able to do that. And I think those businesses that were most successful through this COVID crisis were those ones that could pivot, adapt, and be flexible. And sadly, many were not capable of doing that.
Yeah, and again, reason why we are kind of doing these COVID Chronicles is because I'm a firm believer that just like you did when you guys would have your weekly meetings where there's sort of a sharing of best practices, things that have worked, and equally importantly, things that have not worked. Right. This is sort of where we talk about this, because it may not be COVID, although I believe COVID in one form or the other will still be with us, and it'll probably end up being like a booster shot every year or something like that, like we take a flu shot. But there will be other things that adversity wise, and we had been through like almost a decade cycle of things being sort of, it is what it is, and every year sort of rolling into the next. But COVID in some cases, I don't know, Katrina, if you agree with me, COVID in some cases did not initiate some things, it accelerated them. Like there was already a issue with commercial real estate. There was already an issue with brick and mortar and being the assault of online shopping, and Black Fridays got longer and longer, and discounts and so forth. So a lot of the businesses that have been kind of struggling, but almost like that old frog where the water is being heat, the heat goes up slowly, and you're not really aware of it. COVID kind of accelerated. So all of a sudden, like we're cranking the heat on this. And yes, it's very unfortunate that we lost. I mean, I was looking at some numbers the other day, and it's astounding how many businesses actually are gone, big box or small operator. But it also, I think, made for those who are still around to be a lot more agile, a lot more resourceful, which will probably serve us all well in the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think too, it accelerated some ideas that many cities like Costa Mesa, I know other cities, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Buena Park, many cities have been working to have ideas about getting outside, taking over the public right of way with parklets for restaurants and other small businesses. And those had been lots of discussions, always with pushback on the parking, right?
Right.
And so the COVID crisis really accelerated what people had wanted to do for years, but were always challenged by opposition due to parking requirements. So now you see all over the county, everyone is outside, enjoying outside. I know just right down here from my office, Dick Church's is down the street. They opened up with our assistants out in the front, and it is a beautiful outdoor patio space that I think in Southern California, we live in this beautiful place. It's mostly sunny all year round. And so it gives lots of opportunity for restaurants to have a different kind of feel for their restaurant.
So let me ask you about this, because it's interesting. Right? I completely hear you. For years, I mean, I'm down here in San Clemente. For years, it was the combating for getting 2 extra seats outside on the patio, and the parking load, and all of this stuff. And all of a sudden, when we were pushed into necessity, we basically did away with a lot of that sort of red tape and a lot of processes, and we were motivated to just make sure that these businesses survive. How do you put and then we have delivery now that basically has an alcohol layer to it. Do we ever put this genie back in the bottle? Not that we may want to, but what do you see in the future on that level?
Well, you asked me that when I was here last. And
I did.
Since then, what we did was we actually extended the time for people to be outdoors with their temporary permits. And we have on our agenda for the future to make it permanent. So I don't think we put back in the bottle many of these outdoor areas.
Right.
The only places where we might need to do that is where, it's just kind of like it's in a little strip mall and they're literally extending it with an
Right.
easy up out in front. Those will go away.
Well, and you have ADA compliancy and path of travel and egress and safety vectors. So,
for the ones where they actually, like I will say, there are many restaurants that have really just made it an extension of their indoor restaurant.
Right.
They've laid down like AstroTurf and they've brought in umbrellas and put up barriers. I do think those will be able to remain.
Yeah, they've done very well. Right. A lot of them have done very well where they, again, going back to that sort of, they did not just do a temporary thing that looks like it came off the back of a truck. They actually were trying to be consistent with their brand, or at least the quality of service that they stand for. That's fascinating.
Before I forget, I want to mention, South Coast Plaza. So if anyone has a chance to go visit the pavilion, they call it.
The pavilion, yes.
You only can shop there by reservation. It's really high-end stores. However, what's great about it is they're selling $200,000 to $500,000 in sales out of that little pavilion. And if you go there to Jewel Court, you'll see that they have their Lunar New Year celebration display up. And even though we didn't get to participate in their beautiful Lunar New Year celebration that they have with cultural dances and festival type of environment, all the stores have amazing Lunar New Year displays. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a nice walkthrough. You have to wear your mask when you go in there, of course. And then I got this lovely pin, which is because it's the year of the ox.
I can see it, yes.
Yeah. So the year of the ox, and I encourage everyone to go and check it out if you can. It's a nice little outing. I'll put my pin on. And happy Lunar New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year.
Ox, strength and perseverance. I think
you know what? Yeah, I think pretty much we all get a badge to put on our jackets for that one after this. It's interesting because when you were saying about the pavilion, and for those, we're calling it a pavilion. It's basically a repurposed part of their, multi-level parking structure that they basically turned into basically individual VIP shopping lounges, and it's by appointment only. So you could see where something like this could almost become an add value service that's provided that now has a private, like a personal shopper component, whether it is to promote the businesses like it is now, or where you pay for it because of the convenience. So again, out of necessity comes innovation, and out of that innovation becomes potential new business. Let's talk about the mask for a minute. Okay, I don't want to belabor the thing, but let's talk about masks for a minute, because you guys actually in Costa Mesa put up signs, digital signs that said, "Hey, not wearing a mask, it's $100 fine."
Yeah.
And that is in an environment with whatever our personal feelings may be about it, and I'll leave that out of this conversation. But that is an environment in Orange County right now where, or was even more so, where there was an adverse reaction to telling somebody to basically mask up. So how did you navigate that? And the reason why I'm asking is because maybe there's lessons there in how we basically break through some of these polarized positions that are not in anybody's interest.
Well, when you're in a crisis, you're trying to save people's lives. You sometimes have to take dramatic actions. And so what we were observing was that the word wasn't getting out that you needed to wear your mask in the community. There was this anti-mask opposition, which was irrational, that was forming. And they were coming to my own home, protesting at my home. And this was something that we decided as a council was necessary. It was happening in other parts of the state and other parts of the country, as a way to just kind of jolt the community to know, look, hello, pay attention here. Wear your mask. We'll all be safer for it, and we'll stop the spread of COVID. And it worked. Literally overnight, you saw our community all masking up. And did we give out a whole bunch of $100 tickets? No, but we did focus on those places where the individual store owners or restaurants or customers were refusing to enforce the mask mandate, which wasn't just a Costa Mesa mandate. It was a county, state, and local mandate.
Yeah.
And where people were just refusing to comply with the health order. That's where we initiated, after many, many points of contact, to try to educate and to try to get compliance. It's not like we just went out issuing tickets everywhere. We were really trying to educate by using these signs to help educate the community and get people to, like, hello, we need to wear a mask. And it worked. And, you know, there's a debate. Oh, should we do something more supportive? Should we have a PR campaign that's all about, oh, we're going to be wearing our mask and you wear your mask too, and we'll all be better for it? Well, that wasn't working. We tried that at first. It wasn't working. Sadly, sometimes you got to hit the hammer if you want some people to wake up.
Which, my friend, is what part of why I also look at you and I go, you know what? I'm really pleased that you're running for board of supervisors, because it's unfortunate that we have somehow lost that in terms of, you know, leadership. It seems in most cases, where sometimes you have to do the hard work that comes with the job, and sometimes you have to put your neck out and say, this is what needs to be done for the common good, and if there's a political price to pay for it down the road, so be it. But I look at myself in the mirror every morning and I know that I guess did what I needed to do given the circumstance. And that is a characteristic that sadly is not common as much as it used to be. I'll leave it at that. So with that being said, you're running for Board of Supervisors. And before I go there, I want to just tell everybody that's listening, if you're on here and you have any questions for Katrina, it is now about 12:30. We're going to probably break about 12:50 and give you guys a chance to get your questions in. If you're following us on Facebook, just put them down in the comments, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible. If we don't, we'll try to answer them later. But tell me, you just got reelected to mayor of Costa Mesa. What is it that made you decide this is the time to also run for Board of Supervisors? I understand there's a special election because of Michelle Steele, right? Yeah.
Well, I had planned to run for this seat in 2022 when I was termed out from my city term. Yeah. And I had planned to do it because of my experience over the last year in working with the county and the frustration over the last 4 years and working with our supervisorial representative in terms of housing, homelessness services, access to mental health care service funding, and then COVID, access to resources with regard to COVID, testing, the vaccine, you know, don't even get me started on that. And so all of these things kept adding up. And there was a common denominator that we didn't have good leadership at the county Board of Supervisors for our district, District 2. And so then our supervisor, you know, she defeated my friend Harley Ruda, and she went on to Congress. And then that seat became vacant unexpectedly. And then the special election was called. It's March 9th. It's 20 days from today. And so here we are. I do think that my role as a school board member, planning commissioner, city council member, mayor, small business owner myself, I have had my law firm in Newport for 20 years, now in Costa Mesa since last year. I think that I have a unique experiences that I know what cities, what residents need from the county, and they're not getting it right now. So that's why I'm running.
Well, and I think there's a lot to be said. I mean, maybe it's because we have been through something like COVID, and regardless of where you may fall on the political side of the fence, it doesn't really matter. You know, the disease did not see red or blue or whatever denomination or what have you. And I think for me, it's always been important, but it's almost super important now that the people that we have in those leadership positions that are looking out for our interests, basically, communally, are ones that are tested, the ones that have been that actually have a track record, that are not going to learn on the job or are somehow, they're in there for other reasons other than to be of service. And I think that is maybe a positive that comes out of this. We are a diverse and continuing to be more diverse county on every level, political, ethnic, all kinds of things, right? Where does Costa Mesa fall in terms of size of city in Orange County out of the cities, Katrina?
Out of the cities, I think we're number 5. I want to say
So
5.
You got Anaheim and maybe
Yeah, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Irvine.
Yeah.
And then I think Orange might be bigger than Costa Mesa.
Right. But my point is, it's a large, diverse city. So you have been in the quote unquote laboratory doing all the work that needs to be done and having to basically bridge between people, which again, I think is super important right now. I think we need to find a way. And my question to you would be, what do you find works when we are so polarized, when we're such a divisive nature in the county and the country? What do you find works? Obviously, if there's a common ground, that works. But I'm sure, have faced your share of situations where you've had to basically, really muster up some skills and powers to basically make it happen. What do you find works right now?
Well, I think that like Costa Mesa is sort of a microcosm of our district too, right. Because this district is Newport Coast to Stanton, right? And so Costa Mesa, you've got neighborhoods that are people who are living on, $15 an hour, part-time, and right. They're at the bottom of the poverty scale. And then you've got very, very high-end neighborhoods where homes are selling for upwards of $2 to $3 million. There's golf course living. So we have a lot of diversity in terms of the city itself. You've got South Coast Plaza, and then you've got, a little shop on 17th Street that is owned by a small business owner with a family that lives in the city. And then you've got the vendor carts as well. So we, I think, have all the pieces of what the whole district represents in terms of the different cities. And so that has given me a lot of insight. And what do I do when there's polarization, opposition? I think what I do now and what I will do, and I'll have the ability to do more of as a supervisor, is to bring these polar opposite views. And you're not going to be able to get the fringe views. You've got to move towards the middle, but still people who might have disparate views, and bring them to the table and get a basic set of facts on the table. And then you can move towards, where can we find common ground based on these assumed facts? No one does that work anymore. And I do that work often to find common ground. I've done it we have our ad hoc committee for the retail cannabis that we're working on right now.
Right.
There are people on the committee who just want, cannabis to be wide open anywhere. It doesn't matter, no buffer zones. It doesn't matter if it's next door to a child care center, right? And then there's people who are, they have kids, they live in the city, they understand that you've got to have some buffers. So they're willing to be more practical about it. And so we've got to find those ways to get everybody to come to the center. And we do this often in our city because we are a changing community. In 2020, we literally went from being a Republican-dominated registration community to a Democrat-dominated registration community. So that means a lot of change has happened over time. There's a lot of traditional single-family neighborhoods, and now there's more multifamily neighborhoods growing and coming in. So the best way, I think, for us to lead at this point in time in our history, both in Orange County and across America, is for us to try to find common ground. And sometimes you have to just, if you feel so strongly about something, like our current president is very strong on, we're getting this relief package out. I'd like it to be bipartisan, but if it can't be, I have the votes and I'm moving it forward. Sometimes that's the right approach. Other times it's better to really try to move everybody to a common place. And so I've had lots of years of experience with that, and I'll do that as a supervisor. And I expect to have on my team, if I make it to the supervisor seat, I expect to have on my staff expert policy advisors, not just political appointees. That's what happens on the 5th floor right now. There's some bunch of political appointees who are always about the politics. I want to be about the issues. Right. Somebody who is an expert in housing and homelessness services, somebody who is an expert in veterans and how to help our veterans. I mean, we have so many veterans in this county that are not being served well. Somebody who is an expert in the environment. Every issue that comes before the Board of Supervisors should be being looked at right now through the lens of a climate action plan. And how is this a sustainable program, project, or land use? And we're not doing that. And that's not good for the future generation. So these are the kind of ways I will bring people to the table.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, the issue is not personal, but when you look at the cumulative effect of people motivated more basically by their political aspirations and their how to hold on to a political seat of power versus the fact that you are in there to be of service and to do that job.
Right.
And it happens at every level. I'm not picking on the supervisors where, you know, we've become a culture where you get the job. In fact, I remember one time somebody says, well, you should run. And I said, okay, but you know, if I run, I'm going to run only on one term. And they go, what's the point of voting for you then? And I'm like, well, because I'm going to go in and do the job. And then after that, I'm going to give somebody else a chance to basically be of service as well. So I think we need to get our heads in a different space. I think we need to recognize lack of leadership, but even more importantly, when it's an abdication of leadership, which is a sad scenario in my book, and basically give people that are motivated by doing the job that opportunity to do it. And again, I don't want to get into any particulars on the Board of Supervisors, but I agree with you that overall, and again, maybe amplified by the COVID situation, is that we were found lacking as a county. And we cannot have that continue to be the case, because if we get hit with anything, environmental next time maybe, or what have you, we've seen the effects of being in a situation where we have a lack of leadership or an abdication of leadership. For people who are in District 2, how do they get involved? How do they find out more about you? I mean, the website's right there. It's a ton of information. Katrina, whoever did that website for you, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff in there, well presented.
Calvin Alvarez, he's our communications director. And many people know me as somebody who loved to support our youth and help them to aspire to their dreams. Calvin Alvarez was a Costa Mesa High School student who job shadowed me when he was a senior in high school. And then that following summer, he went to work for me in my law firm, and he's been working for me ever since. He's now 20 years old. He's getting ready to go to Cal State Fullerton next semester. So we are really proud of him. He does a phenomenal job. And anybody want to intern? We have 17 interns on our county supervisor campaign right now. They're high school students and college students. You get course credit and you learn so much. There's definitely a lot of learning that goes on when you work for Katrina Foley.
There's no substitute to being in the trenches on stuff like that. That is for sure. And the volunteering is also feeds your soul in a way that a lot of things don't. So I urge people to also get involved, engage, and volunteer.
There's a volunteer tab on our website. You can sign up to volunteer. We literally have phone banks going every day, 12 noon until 8 p.m. And we have all kinds of opportunities for people.
So, and then again, the actual, I mean, I think voting open. People are receiving their ballots.
I just looked at the returns today. Almost 28,000 people have already voted. So yeah, there's 400,000 voters in the district. So it's a small chunk, but we're not expecting there to be 400,000 people vote in this election, but voting has started. And so, yes.
Well, but that being said, and I put this out when I endorsed you. You know, I'm sorry I'm not in your district, but I'm endorsing you anyway. Right? Okay,
I'll represent you on the Board of Supervisors.
I have no doubt that you will, and you will do very well doing that. But for all, and I said to all my friends that are out there, if you want me to continue to talk to you, I'm kidding. Vote for Katrina. But the thing about about it is that it is a special election.
That's right.
It is sort of on the tail end of a general election. We're all kind of battle weary, tired for, it's been 4 years of total engagement. And so a lot of people are not even aware of it. And so I appreciate you being here today, because I really wanted to get the word out, but I also wanted to share with the audience because I really believe that, hopefully you will get on the board of supervisors. And if you do that, it's going to be a phenomenal job that you do, because it's just what you've done every single step of the way. And, Costa Mesa may be losing you as a mayor at that point, but they'll be getting you as supervisor. And if you stay on as mayor, your record will still continue to be stellar. And as you have served the community so well so far in everything, in every capacity you've been involved in. For those who are not aware, please help spread the word, or have now become aware of this, and you happen to be in District 2, or you have friends that are in District 2. And the list, as you said, is from Stanton all the way down.
Let's talk about the city. So we've got Huntington Beach, Seal Beach, Newport Beach, all along the coast. And we got Costa Mesa, and we start to move up to the northern part of the city, of the county, where we have a portion of Fountain Valley, a portion of Buena Park, all of Stanton, all of Los Alamitos, Rossmore. I just was on a tour of the lovely community of Rossmore. What a beautiful neighborhood. I love that neighborhood. Then we have Cypress is also in the district. And then this unincorporated areas throughout the district too. So it's a very large district. There's 600,000 residents who live in the district and about 400,000 voters. And so, it takes a lot to reach everyone, especially in a special election.
Well, right. And I mean, even in a midterm, you don't get the turnout that you usually do in general. That's just the nature of the beast. Remind me when we have some time to share with you also this project that actually I designed a few years ago, and now it's actually under construction in Stanton, because it's actually a memory care senior housing.
Oh.
And it's an interesting setup because it sort of borders on a residential area. And so I'll share that with you at a later point. It might be of an interest for you. I wanted to open it up, as we had mentioned, to people. If you have any questions for Katrina,
we got one already here, but it's been.
Do we have any, Paul?
Yes, we had one. Been waiting for a while here. Everybody wants to know a couple different phrases of this. Othina, getting better, getting worse? Why wasn't it up and running to begin with here?
Vaccination rollout, yeah.
So the vaccine rollout has been a little slow in Orange County. We have been getting better. I will say I was very frustrated as the mayor that we had a no bid contract that was given for $1.2 million to a company to create this app. They didn't start the app process till November. We all knew the vaccine was coming long before that, like as early as May. And so we had a slow rollout. They didn't have capacity in this app to take on all the masses signing up and registering all in the same day. And that's essentially what happened. And so they had no back of the house capacity to manage that many people. Now, they also didn't have Vietnamese or Spanish language for what we have we have Little Saigon here in Orange County.
Right.
We have one of the largest Vietnamese communities in America right here in Orange County. We, of course, have 35% of our residents here in Orange County are Latinx, and so many Spanish language speakers, especially the elderly, who tend to be more Spanish language oriented and need to have that bilingual capability. So that was a fail, in my opinion. And then, it's starting to get fixed. I'll give credit to the county and to Supervisor Chafee and Doe, who are on the task force for the vaccinations, for kind of pressing on the language issues. So I'm glad that's getting fixed. We're still woefully behind though. And now what's happened is that the state has created something called My Turn. And My Turn is a new registration system for getting information about vaccines, eligibility, getting notified of when you can get a vaccine and where. And so that's going to, as I understand it, I've been on calls for the last 2 weeks hearing about this at the state and at the local level. Those are supposed to somehow blend together. So my recommendation is sign up on my turn, just to be safe. You'll probably have a easier experience. I have my own personal story. My grandmother, as you know, Rad, just like you, I have care for elderly in our family. My grandmother is 94 years old. Of course, she doesn't know how to sign up on an app. She doesn't even have a computer. And so I had to use my own email. And then, of course, you can't use a family email. So everyone has to have their own individual emails. We used my email to sign her up every single day. It was like concert tickets, in the old days when you just getting redial on the telephone.
Call into a radio station to win tickets. Yeah, you just keep calling and calling and calling, right?
That's exactly what Othina was like for me, to get my grandmother her vaccination. Finally, after 3.5 weeks, we got her an appointment, and she went down to Soka University, which, by the way, credit where credit is due. Our Orange County professional firefighters and all of our fire departments and paramedics throughout Orange County who are standing up these sites, all the county workers who are helping and the volunteers, they are doing a phenomenal job on the ground at the super sites. So
So can I share I'm going to support your story and tell my own. I just turned 65, yikes. So I qualified for the first round, and I immediately signed up on Othina, tried to, couldn't, finally got in. And then it was my understanding that once you're in the waiting room, they would notify you 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They'd give you nothing ever. So every day, different times, going in, morning, noon, night, several times a day. People I knew saying, what was the problem? I got on. And me going, oh, I can't get on.
Exactly.
Random, who knows? About a week ago, which was about 3.5 weeks after I'd signed up, I just went on randomly one morning in the middle of the day thinking, I'm wasting my time again, but I got to go through the daily exercise. And there it was, and says, if you can get here in the next hour, you're in. So I dropped everything, raced down, and I went to Soka. Now, Soka was wonderful, well organized, quick.
That's what I've heard. Soka's really
wow.
well done.
My wife had gone to Disneyland in the early days. She had gotten one of the lucky ones and gotten up. Chaotic, hours, crazy, confusing, don't know where to drive, don't know where to go, everybody's agitated. Soka was very well organized. You pull up. It took from the minute I pulled up, which is about a half hour early, to the minute I left, took about an hour total. Very coordinated, very organized, very nice people, not angry, knew what they were doing, got you in and out.
They have wheelchairs for people who need help.
Yep. I just sat in my car, rolled on the window, zap, got the bug. And I got to tell you, I started to tear up. I thought, oh, my God, am I safe? At least I'm half safe now. And I hear that on the second follow-up, they're getting better. They already gave me a date, tentative date. But that getting in was a nightmare. I get that. Why is it still so random roll of the dice when you can get through?
I agree. I think that's one of the problems they have not corrected, despite the fact that on our mayor calls every Friday, we are told that they're going to a queuing system that will be based on when did you sign up first? That'll be the first, and then age eligibility, right? So that's what we're told every week. That does not seem to be the case.
No.
Because I have that same experience. I had friends who were over 65 who signed up the day of or something, and then they got an appointment, whereas we kept waiting. Yeah. And I'll say this, that is very hard on our seniors.
Oh, everybody.
The stress of it every day, knowing that there's something out there that could give you better protection and you just can't access it.
Right.
It's very stressful.
And genuine fear. I mean, and that for all of us, but especially with seniors, it's a genuine fear that they're in such a
danger
precarious position of contracting it because of what the impact is on them. Yeah, it's fascinating. You hear even, I've heard of not a lot, but I've heard some people where they've actually gotten the appointment. They have gone down. They've gone through the whole steps. And then when it came down to the last step, oh no, you are actually in the B versus the A.
Yeah, right, go home.
And so now after an hour of being there, they're also actually turned around because they don't have it. And then you hear people that are basically just sitting by the wayside just in case somebody doesn't show up and the vaccine doesn't go. So it is a mess.
I have a story. Let me share this story.
Okay.
This week, and this goes to, my commitment to service, I guess. So this week I got a call or an email, Facebook message from my friend, Pastor Sarah, who is the pastor. We used to be pastor at Fairview Community Church. She's now in Irvine. And she shared a story about how one of her congregates, 90-year-old woman, went down to UCI Health, had an appointment. She had her proof of her appointment, and she didn't have a wheelchair. She used her walker. Now, I know what that's like because I helped my grandma. That is hard work to get from a car to a building with your walker. It's hard work for them. And so she got, she mustered up all her strength. She got there, showed them her proof of her appointment. They're like, oh, we don't have you on record. And they would not give her the vaccine.
Crazy.
And so she left, of course, just distraught and upset. And so I literally got on the phone, Connie Pucci-Norris, our assemblywoman. I reached out to her because Irvine's not in my district. It's not, I'm not the mayor of Irvine. And I reached out to Mayor of Irvine, Farrakhan, Connie Pucci-Norris. Cottie's staff reached out with UCI Health. They got her appointment the next day. But, that woman, she got lucky because she happened to be friends with somebody who's friends there.
She knew somebody who could help her versus that's that equity we're
so as a radio broadcaster, as a media personality here, I'll tell you my thing that ticks me off. I would say pissed off, but we can't say that. But what pisses me off is the lack of communication. I get that they weren't ready. They should have been. I get that they got overwhelmed. They shouldn't have been. But they never, ever, ever talk to me. I'm supposed to go back randomly, regularly, and all I get is, not today. No soup for you today. It's the soup Nazi on Seinfeld. No soup for you today. And I have to wonder and worry and proactively do it. And then when it is, you can do it in 10 minutes. Can you get down here? Oh, my God. Well, no, I have a life. But I guess I'll cancel that. We've had guests cancel. We had a guest cancel the other day who suddenly said at the last minute, I just got in. I can't come. I got to get there now. So it's that lack of...
You got to go.
If they could just communicate, not just queue us up, but communicate and say, hang on, it averages 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months or whatever it is. We'll get to you. We promise. We'll give you some updates along the way. You're getting closer. You're 200 away. Then we'd be patient. But when you tell me nothing, when I'm sitting out on the airplane in the tarmac and they say we're going to take off in 5 minutes and you're there 3 hours, that's when people get angry because you're not talking to them.
Sign up for my newsletter. Go to my website and sign up because every Friday I give an update. I try to communicate as much as possible.
So how do we sign up for your newsletter? Give us that.
Go to my website, katrinafoley.com, and there's a place where you can sign up for my website.
Beautiful, because nobody's talking to us.
For my newsletter, and I send out a newsletter every Friday. And it has a COVID update at the front, and it's got some community messages, some things we're doing at City Hall. Also, I do a business spotlight. So if you have a COVID conscious business that you want to promote, I always make sure to be.
There are two emails that I basically pay attention to almost on a weekly basis. One is from Katrina, and the other one is from Lucy Dunn at the Orange County Business Council.
I sometimes take some of Lucy's great Orange County Business Council. They do a great job with their newsletter every week.
So here's the other question that keeps popping up. Why are we had one super center. Now we got 2. Are there more coming? I was told that Santa Ana may be a center, Santa Ana College and some others.
I'm so glad this question was asked. So this is where I think politics is coming into play.
Yeah.
And so
you think?
They told me whenever the week before the SoCA University site was opened, I was told the next site was going to be the Orange County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
And then SoCA opened, which is great for South County because that's needed. That's a long drive people don't realize. And we're ready to go. Our fire chief has been on the incident management team. We have a state-owned facility at the Orange County Fairgrounds. We are ready to go. I have said for months, we need a 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Get the vaccine rolling out. We could vaccinate the whole county in 100 days.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they will not do that. And so I've now have been pushing this with the governor's office, and I have a letter that's gone out. I have another letter that's going out to the county. We are trying to find our own partner, because what I've been learning in the last 2 weeks is that the county is only receiving about 20% of the vaccine that's coming into Orange County.
Yeah, right. I've heard that too. 80. Where does the other 80% go?
Going to UCI, it's going to hospitals, it's going to Kaiser, it's going to pharmacies like CVS. And so what I've been now working with our city manager on is, okay, let's find a private partner that's getting the vaccine. Let's stand up with them.
Right.
I mean, let's try to get it from the
Good.
federal government directly, and we can stand it up. All of our fire departments across Orange County, all of our cities are willing to provide the resources and personnel. We just need the vaccine. And so that's what I've been pushing on. I'll keep pushing that. The county told us last week that they want to move towards away from the super sites. I don't agree with this. I think this is a mistake. And maybe they have different information. That's very possible than I have access to. But I think it's a mistake to go to these community clinics and go to private doctors and as a way to vaccinate the masses. I think that's a mistake. We need to open up a super site 24/7, get everybody vaccinated, and get on with our lives.
I'm with you. Okay.
It's an issue of timing. I mean, that could be a solution that is later. But you are at a point where we are all at a point right now where we need to vaccinate as many people as possible.
Right.
And if you do that, then it's going to slow it down. I mean, what in those conversations, Katrina, has there been a discussion about what is the projected timeline to vaccinate the majority of the county? Do we have any idea, any goal, target in mind?
They have a goal, but at the rate that we're vaccinating, which is about 7,000 to 9,000 a day, we're not going to reach the goal. Their goal is Independence Day. So they're wanting, this, it's a great theme. I love it. I support the goal. Let's have independence from COVID by Independence Day. I love that, right? But you had to be at, by February 1st, 15,000 doses, vaccinations a day. We're here on.
You're at 50%.
Yeah, we're not going to get there. We've got to ramp it up a lot to get there. Now, part of that is not the county. Part of that is that the vaccinations did not flow. But President Biden just announced 1 million, more doses, trying to get a million.
But the quantity isn't the critical thing. It's the distribution. And I mean, if we don't handle
that, is quantity though.
Well, okay, but
part of it is there's more quantity in Orange County than we know about. We can't see it.
It's crazy. That's crazy. 80% is not going to the county and is out there. And until you mentioned that, I had no clue.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and like, for example, we got a report last night at our city council meeting from our city manager. All of our assisted living and, elder care facilities, there's 70 of them in the city of Costa Mesa. Everybody's been vaccinated. This is great news, right? Yeah. So what does that mean? Take all those people off the list because they're not getting vaccinated by the county. They're getting vaccinated by CVS in private partnership with each of these facilities.
Right.
So that means that the data, because I hear this quite often as a justification for only doing 65 and older and not adding teachers. That's another thing I'm very concerned about. Everyone wants the kids back.
The opening of the schools that everybody's pushing for.
Everything like it's normal, but they're not allowing in Orange County, even though the state says they're eligible, they're not allowing teachers. Now, I'm admittedly biased. I'm married to a teacher, and he's been in the classroom since the fall. His students are high-risk students who have been expelled from Santa Ana schools, the highest incidence of COVID in the county. And so they have great practices in the classroom to keep the staff and the teachers safe. But there's been 3 deaths of their both teacher or classified staff who work on their campus since this whole pandemic started. So yes.
So what is holding up the
vaccinated? All the teachers vaccinated.
So what's holding this up? Is it a question of jurisdiction? No, we want to hold on to this. The county. No, we want to do it separately. The cities want to do it separately. The businesses want to do it separately. The entities like UCI want to do it separately. Is it a question of who controls it, or is it a question of coordination? We just don't know what to do.
Well, I think it's a combination. Okay, I think it's and And again, I'm speaking as somewhat of an outsider because I don't have the inside data that the people at the county have yet. But
yet is the key thing she just said there. Yet.
So as a person who tries to make my decisions based on data and information that's factually accurate, the best I can see is that, one, we didn't have enough vaccine flowing into Orange County.
Right.
Okay. And they'll deny this, but I think partly why it's not going to the county, it's going to these private entities, is because we have a terrible relationship between the county and the state of California. We've got one of our board of supervisors is leading the recall effort for the governor. Well, how does that help us? That's not helpful. And so whether you agree with Gavin Newsom or not about different decisions he's made, it's impossible to make every decision right in the middle of a pandemic. Okay. And I don't agree with him on every decision he's made. I didn't think he needed to close the restaurants outdoor dining. I
Agreed.
That
Agreed.
to me pushed people over the edge unnecessarily.
Right.
It's a low risk.
But if he's controlling the flow into the county and you piss him off, then he's not going to work with you. Right.
And I, they'll tell you that that's not part of it. But I think that you'll see we just got more vaccinations flowing to UCI Health. We have more vaccinations going to Kaiser.
Right.
We have more vaccinations going to like CVS. If you go on the CVS website right now, many people don't know this. You can sign up on CVS right now across Orange County to get vaccinated. But there's no appointments available right now. But you keep going back, register for CVS. You're more likely to get access to a vaccination through CVS, a private entity, than you are to get your vaccination through Othina.
But here's my concern with that as a citizen, as somebody concerned about this. If everybody's on their own and it's helter-skelter, hodgepodge, this isn't a once and done vaccine other than the Johnson & Johnson one that's still not out and different. But it's a two. So once you go with one, you got to get the same one again. And you got to get it within a certain time frame or you've blown it. So
that system is set up. You have to get it at the same place. So basically, if you get it at CVS in Buena Park, then you're going to have to go back. They'll make an appointment for you to go back at the right time to get it at CVS in Buena Park again. So you really can't, it's not advisable anyway to get your vaccine at Soka University if you got it at CVS in Buena Park. So the first one. So, but that goes back to what I believe is a better approach. And that is open up a big super site 24/7, get everyone vaccinated. And then, like Raad said, then you have after the fact, the boosters, the hard to reach vulnerable communities, the more at risk ill patients, then they can go to the hospitals or the clinics or have them come to their homes.
So I only have one more question. This is my question.
I'm very passionate about this issue in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah, no, it's good because we're all passionate about it. We're all wondering what's holding this up. And even
Paul, and right now,
even supervisors are upset.
The emphasis is we have an immediate need to do things in an expedited manner to cover as many people as possible. But at the same time, what we are putting in place is foundational to what will have to be built upon it, because we will be going through year after year where this, at least for the foreseeable future, is something we will need to maintain, if you will. And maybe at that point, it becomes a rollout program through CVS and stuff like that. And then, but then, even then, you will need some sort of, logistical system to make sure that people are covered and that nobody falls through the cracks. But yeah, so it's too soon, I think, for me to see a lack of need for super sites. But I can see where down the road we will need to do that.
Frankly, I've decided that the reason they don't want to do a super site is because they don't want to pay for the staffing. So everybody that's working at the super sites right now that are county employees, city employees, Orange County Fire, professional firefighter employees, they are all getting paid, it's on overtime because they're working and they're covering, different shifts. And so I think that because FEMA, and this is a fail by the federal government.
Yeah.
FEMA has not reimbursed anybody yet.
Really?
Only Laguna Beach, to my knowledge, as of Friday, only Laguna Beach in the county of Orange has received some reimbursement from FEMA, and it's like a couple $100,000. So as an example, Costa Mesa, we're almost $4 million in COVID specific expense. We have it all documented. We've been submitting our request for reimbursement since the first month of the pandemic.
Wow.
We have not received
a year, and you haven't gotten any money here.
Not one penny. The county has not received reimbursement.
So as Rod always likes to say, the answer is money. What was the question?
Yeah, the answer is money. What was the question? The thing that's crazy about this is from a mindset. I totally get the fact that if you're not getting reimbursed, you've got multiple demands under your resources. Well, this is sort of priority one in my book right now until we get past a critical point. Yeah. But it always fascinates me how people are basically sort of fixed on that idea, and the fiscal conservative mindset goes out the window, that if I don't spend the money today, the cost impact on having to do it down the road is going to be, even in dollars and cents alone, much higher. So like, I'm being penny wise and pound foolish, if you will, in the process. And I get the reimbursement and the lack of reimbursement, and that how that becomes a detriment for you to be able to expend resources. But if you're fortunate, and we happen to be in a county that is, somewhat fortunate financially, maybe we need to get to a point where we're helping each other out. Like for the time being, we need to pull resources together. And that may, I keep thinking about this, Katrina, like if we really wanted to, we can look at COVID as a unifying platform that we can come together on something like this. And in doing so, we now have established a way of working together versus against purposes. But again, it requires somebody willing to basically reach out.
Well, I think that's exactly right. And so, for example, one of the silver linings, I've been trying to find all the silver linings from this last year. One of the silver linings is that all 34 mayors now meet on a Zoom call every Thursday night at 7:30.
Yeah. Good, didn't know that.
We've been doing this since the beginning, like month one of the pandemic. And we started this, it started with me and Newport and Huntington Beach and Santa Ana meeting. And then Mayor Polito at the time, then he said, let's have all 34 mayors meet. And then we all started meeting. So that's been super helpful. Sharing of resources, keeping each other informed, up to date, unifying, sending letters to the federal government, to the state, to the county. We've worked really well together on issues, cutting out all the things we don't agree on and focusing on those we do. We did a Mask Up to Open Up campaign, all 34 mayors. We made a video, we put it out there. So that's been a silver lining. It took several weeks. I was dubbed the person to try to get the county to speak to the mayors, because the county was having phone conferences with the state delegation and the congressional delegation, but they wouldn't allow the mayors to come onto those calls. We didn't know why. And so I said, okay, well then can we have our own call? And they said, no. And then finally we all wrote a letter. We kept pressing. We finally got the call. So now for 10 months on Friday mornings at 9 a.m., we've only had one Friday that we did not have the call, and that was a holiday. We had it on a Thursday. We've had this call every Friday. We get an update from the CEO and the health officer. Silver lining, because now we're all sharing information. But even still, even when we have those calls, we still don't get all the information. And so, information is power, communication is key. And so
information creates calm, it creates confidence. So here's my offer to you. OC Talk Radio platform, been around for 10 years, 20-some shows. We stream live out of the University of California, Irvine's Applied Innovation Center here. We've got a business audience. There aren't many audience tools in the county anymore. We don't have traditional TV stations and radio stations, newspapers struggling, all these things.
True, right.
So should we, I'll give you an offer. If they want to do a once a week mayor's group where we would do a live stream, not just over a channel, but over YouTube and Facebook like we did today, and people can, if they're willing to face the public and answer questions, that might go a long way towards creating some calm and getting rid of the panic and anger that I suspect is building up and has been built up since the beginning.
I think that's great because, each city is doing something different because the mayors have had to be resourceful because we
Right.
can't rely on the county. So in Irvine, for example, Farrakhan is working with the community clinic. They have been vaccinating seniors. She has UCI. UCI is vaccinating a lot of people at UCI. And then in, of course, Aliso Viejo, Soka University, Mayor Tiffany Ackley has done a great job of trying to spread the word about that. I know that in Orange, Mayor Mark Murphy, he is working with the community clinics there. In Tustin, Mayor Clark has a lot of little local programs that they're putting on there. In Santa Ana, you mentioned Santa Ana College, Mayor Vince Sarmiento and the county have worked together. They're only going to be doing 1,000 doses at that Santa Ana College, but that's intended to reach some of our, harder to reach Latinx
Right.
community.
So
every mayor is doing something different.
So take this back to the mayors.
I will.
That we will offer them a free hour once a week if they want to come on, and we can do it by Zoom, and we'll stream it out to Facebook, to YouTube, to their Facebook, to our Facebook, to the various cities' Facebooks, wherever we want to go, and see if we can't promote. Because I see that they just hired somebody, I think Hall Idea Group or somebody like that, to do a PR campaign.
A $1.8 million.
And I'm thinking, what are they going to do? Just put up happy pictures and billboards? We need to talk to people. You need to have people be able to talk to you and say, I'm scared, I'm concerned. We do a show here on Thursday mornings, just as an example. We should have you on. A guy named Dr. Trin, who's on the board of Alzheimer's and does some other things. He started a show at the beginning of this. And he just called it Health Talks. And he was going to talk about Alzheimer's and other things. Every week, he's getting 500 to 1,000 people coming on this Facebook page, and they all want to know where, why, how. I heard the second dose is bad. I'm worried about this. What do I do? Why is this happening? When is this going to happen? And it's just, he's like, so he's bringing on experts to do this. It wasn't nearly the intent, and it's become our most popular show, like with Rod's show. It reaches a big, not just a live audience, but a social media audience, and everybody's scared and asking questions. And Othina, you can't ask a question. I can't call up most of my officials and ask a question. I'm glad you're all talking, but we'd like to talk to you.
I agree. And I encourage you again to go to my website, katrinafoley.com, sign up for my newsletter.
Yeah, I'm glad there is one.
You really, every Friday, it's probably too much information.
Never too much. So what would you like to
but the lack of information is what has hurt us the most.
Yes.
And the lack of dependable information, common ground, things that we can agree on as being factual is what has hurt us the most. And so again, it goes down to sort of trusted resources, right? And rather have more information than less information, and coming from sources that are not having some sort of agenda of sorts, but just basically trying to get the word out. And to Paul's point, I mean, there has been shows on OC Talk Radio before that have tried to do this in terms of like city engagement and so forth. But right now, again, if we've learned one thing last year is it is not about how much money you can throw at something. It's how well you do something.
Yeah.
Right.
So you could do $2 million, $3 million, $40 million worth of communication contracts, but where's the quantifiable results? How are you going to measure that, right? And yet we do something as simple as this, and we try to get the word out to people, and it's out there, and people can digest it on their own level of commitment.
Not just now, but later. I offer this
later, and it's still there. It's still valid information.
I'd have Rod moderate it. We'll stream it. We could do it live at a certain time each and every week, and the cities could blow it out and say, tune in. You want to hear your mayor on this week? He's going to tell you, she's going to tell you what's happening. The group, as a group, not as little individuals.
Rod, he just gave you a new job.
Gave a new job.
I noticed that too, Katrina.
He didn't see that. I threw him right in there. He didn't even see that. That's how I'm
but
moving.
You know what? Honestly, I mean, Paul gave me the opportunity to do this show 6 years ago, and it has been really a labor of love, and it's very enjoyable and very informative. And if it's a way of basically giving back to the community, then so be it. And I'm more than happy to do that, because at the end of the day, it really is important to have a place where you can go and get information. And we are inundated. There's such a cacophony of noise, of content right now out there, that you don't know where to go.
Right.
And you're battle weary and you're PTSD after, a year of COVID and all of this stuff. So it would be my pleasure to do that. Should there be an interest to do that? Absolutely not.
Free, FREE. I charge them nothing. We usually charge, we're like a radio station, we charge to produce shows free. If we could get the info, we could have one central show, it would help us, people would tune in.
Are you kidding me? This is, to me, a major, invaluable service that you're providing. And there's so much more so I know that all the mayors are really struggling, because people also don't realize. So there's only a few directly elected mayors in the county of Orange. And none of us are executive mayors.
No.
So we don't have the right to just make things happen and do whatever we want. Right. We actually still have to get the votes on the city council to make things happen. And so we also are limited on how much we can communicate through our own city resources.
Right.
Because those resources are stretched thin right now. So really valuable resource. I will definitely bring this up.
I want to get the mayors, whoever wants to participate. There's 34 of them. You all talking once a week.
You want to come to our meeting on Thursday night?
I'd love to.
Sure.
I'd love to.
Would love to.
I'd love to.
I think to Paul's point, and I'll put it out there, just even if in this simple format.
We turned this into a whole different thing.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm so frustrated at the lack of information, the misinformation, and more importantly, the no information. Just check back. We'll get to you. Sit tight. No, people are scared.
I actually think also that there's a disconnect between what the county thinks is getting out and permeating out into the public and what actually is.
True.
Because they're not engaging with the public in the way that the public engages. And so that's
this is how they engage.
You're putting it
through
on
a smartphone
infrastructure that may have worked in the past, but it's not how people are digesting the information right now. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true.
So let me give you one more quick. I'll get on my soapbox and then I'll shut up. And because have
you noticed, Katrina? Have you noticed, by the way, that Paul? There's a reason why we call Paul the poster child for baby boomers. I mean, he is the poster child for baby boomers.
I am. I'm speaking for a lot of people
get back
here.
On your soapbox. Go ahead.
All right, here's the soapbox, and then we got to wrap up here because we're already a half hour over, and I should have shut it off a while ago, but you guys are on a roll here. I wonder, we've had people wonder this. This is a real bombshell question that we're not going to answer here. But people love the fact that Orange County has 34 cities, 34 independent minds, 34 ways of doing things. Best government is local government. I get all that stuff. There are times, though, when that's not a good thing. And 34 people looks like a bunch of people running around confused. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. Should I do this? How do I get this? And everybody's, and plus all these entities and everybody else. That's when I expect some bigger entity to come in and say, come on, guys, whether it's the county, whether it's the state, somebody's got to say, all right, enough. Let's get this. Let's get a coordinated plan. We can't have a good plan in Laguna and a bad plan in Santa Ana.
Right. But you know why that happened for this particular pandemic is because there was no plan coming out of the county.
Correct.
None.
And so the cities, so many of us mayors got invited by the Bloomberg Initiative to participate in weekly COVID briefings. So we were getting information real time from scientists, health advisors, economists. Here's what mayors should be doing right now. Well, then we're all trying to do that. We're trying to ask the county to do it. And they're just saying that it's a hoax. There's no necessity here, no reason to wear a mask. This is all made up. It's just the flu. So we lost a lot of time because of that nonsense.
Yes.
And so,
Katrina, I wish the public could have seen what I saw. I'm one of the few media outlets. I was in on some of those earlier calls as a who are you going to invite? There aren't a lot of press to invite in Orange County. So old Paul gets invited. And I'm there with the Register and KABC and everybody else. And that first week of chaos, when the county issued an order and it came, I was one of the first to see it because I'm on the media list. And I start calling up the Rads in our show life and saying, we're going to have to shut down, buddy. We're not sure what's going on here. They're going to shut the building down that we're in. I don't know if we can continue. We're a vital service listed, so maybe we can continue. We're all in chaos. And this draconian thing came down and said, everything's shutting down like tomorrow. And within 24 hours, they retracted it, rewrote it, and weren't sure. Just like the mask mandate that followed. Everybody wear a mask? Nope. And they got riots, and somebody went to the poor county health official's home, and she quit.
I just received a text message actually reminding me of that it was such a havoc and chaos at the beginning.
Unbelievable.
We even had the person who was the head of the health the
agency,
top health,
whatever, yeah.
Executive in the county that basically was pressured to the point where she had to resign in order to maintain safety for her family.
Within 2 or 3 days, it all changed.
Yeah, Paul, I think
those same people were at my house. Those same people
exactly.
I'm a little bit tougher, and I don't think anyone should have to go through that.
Absolutely not.
So,
but it showed a lack of leadership. I'm sorry to say.
Four of those people have had the FBI investigating them, and they have been, some of them, arrested because of their role in the insurrection in the Capitol.
But had the county, and I understand we're divided left and right, blue and red and all this stuff here, but had they come together at that moment and said, guys, one way or another, let's put together a statement on behalf of all of us, left and right and center, and say, this is what we're doing and this is why it is. You may not agree with it, but this is the moment we have to rise up and do something. Not, should we? Oh, no, maybe. Could be. Stop. Don't know. Confusing.
Our council was unified. And at that time, it was 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans. We all were unified in our approach. It can be done. Well,
take us home, Raad. You get me off the soapbox. Wrap us up, buddy.
No, I mean, it's important to talk about this, and I think it speaks to the frustration. I mean, I always refer to you as sort of the litmus test poster child. It speaks to the frustration level of the person on the street, the lack of clarity of what to do, how to go about it, where to get the information that you can trust. And so it's okay. I mean, we went off a little bit, but it emphasizes the importance for leadership in positions that are really critical. And to your point, there needs to be an oversight over the 34 cities that gives guidance, and that is the Board of Supervisors. So, Katrina, I really am looking forward for you to be on there. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today and with Paul. You're welcome anytime. And if we can do anything, to Paul's point, if we can do anything to help with anybody, I mean, anybody's invited to be on. There's no cost to anybody to be on the show to share their experience with COVID. But equally, if we can do something that would be a platform to share best practices, what's going on in the county. It is a big county. We are a large county. We are more than happy to do that. So again, thank you for being here. I wish you all the luck. Election is in 3 weeks. What's the date again?
March 9th. What's in your ballot today?
Right. And so you can vote right now. If you're in District 2, go look for your ballots. Make sure that you vote. It is a special election, but your voices count. And so make sure to be heard. Thanks, Katrina, very much. I wish you a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
You have been listening to the Raad Life radio show with your host and age explorer, Raad Gantos, brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.